the game, 'cause see the boxing voice.
Welcome back, gang, for the first time and hopefully many more to come. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click on the notifications right here, this little bell, so you can get those emails every time we go live.
Peterson, Adrien Broner, he's had Earl Spence in the Olympics. He's dealt with Sean Porter. I mean, there's no one this guy doesn't know. And just an excellent boxing mind. Barry, man, thank you for taking out the time to come on the show. TBV definitely appreciates it. You're in for a big fight. This is your fighter's third title shot now in what is, I'm going to say, the most important fight of his career because of how hot this division is. It's a division that usually doesn't get this sort of attention, but now with the World Boxing Super Series, and like Rashuee said, if an American Olympian can win a title, maybe he can bring some awareness to this division. How are you? Happy New Year's. Talk to us.
Man, first of all, let me say Happy New Year's to you guys, and thanks for having us on tonight, and of course, it's always a pleasure. Yes, Rashuee can be the one that's one of the ones that shine a light on this division. Of course, he has a vast history in boxing, from the JOs all the way up through the Olympics, and really what this man has done in boxing has been nothing short of phenomenal. Three-time Olympian. I mean, he's won every national title that you can possibly think of in USA boxing history multiple times. World championship in the amateurs, world title in the pros. This is his third time a world title, and more than likely he should walk out of there with that title, unless just something unforeseen happens that turns the other way. But I don't see that coming.
Hey Barry, this is Ron Goodall. I'd like to know a little bit into the whole sparring sessions and the training camp. How many rounds do you have Rashuee fighting, and some of the guys he's sparring with? Is there any of the people that we probably know, or any prospects that we should keep an eye on?
Yeah, hi Ron. Yes, Shakur Stevenson was one of them. Of course, he sparred with Anthony Peterson. He sparred with a kid. I'm not sure Kobe's last name, but he was on the Olympic team for Barbados. Toka Khan from Rochester. Rhode Island. We've had several. There's a kid from Romania. I'm not sure of his name either, but he was also on the Romania's national team. So he had some quality sparring for this particular fight. And as far as the rounds are concerned, we usually spar 3 days out of the week. So that's Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And so we've been going pretty good and pretty strong for the last 2 months.
How's it going, Mr. Hunter? My name is Michael Gross.
Hi, Michael.
My first question is, how do you prepare Mr. Warren for the amount of punches that he's going to be throwing in a 12-round fight? Because he's at a lower weight class, they throw a lot more punches than the higher weight classes.
Yes, the smaller weight classes are very, very active, and in his case, it's just the opposite. I believe he may have discussed with you guys the fact that when he was in the amateurs, and actually for the most part of the professional fights that he's had, Rashuee was used to throwing. He was so fast, especially in the amateurs. He was so fast that he can make a mistake and get away with it because of that speed, it would be camouflage. But most of his punches that were thrown was hooks and no jabs. So that's one of the things that, if you been watching his last couple of fights, that's one of the things that we wanted to prove on, that and pace. Because in amateurs, of course, the scoring was going by, especially when we had the computer scoring system, it was based on points. And so you have time now. So we want to pace ourselves better, and we definitely want to use the jab more and, create opportunities and openness behind the jab.
Hey, Mr. Hunter, Mario Munguia here. As Ness alluded to earlier, you are very familiar with Adrien Broner, and I got to ask this question because we get so many calls every day about the fight coming up. And the question seems to be, does Broner have in him what it takes to beat Pacquiao, period? But I think the notion is he going to train the right way to have those skills to beat Manny Pacquiao? Just break down that fight for me a little bit, what it's going to take for Broner to win and the chance you give him.
Well, I give him an excellent chance. I really can't speak on what he did in camp because, of course, the last 2 camps, 3, he wasn't in D.C.
Yes, sir.
Adrien, I have a long history with Adrien also. Adrien actually lived up here with us for some years on his path to his first world title. And I known him just as long as I know Rashuee. They were little boys. And so I know him very, very well. I know that Adrien Broner, has the goods to beat anybody. He's an incredible athlete. A lot of times, maybe his out of the ring antics may have cost him somewhat. But if you look at this fight and you break this fight down, Pacquiao, at 40 years old, he's a politician now. He's an entrepreneur. He got a lot of things going on also. So you have to question the fact about Pacquiao. Do he still have that same fire? Does he still have the same passion for the game? Or is it just, I'm fighting now for financial reasons? If he is more of a politician than he is a fighter, then advantage Broner. Flip it all around. You look at Adrien. If Adrien doesn't take the fight as serious as he need to take it, and same thing, on his side, if it's just about finances, if it's not about the passion anymore, I think Adrian's one of the best athletes I ever worked with, to be honest with you, and could do anything. I remember, short story, I remember one time we were up in Colorado, we were training at the OTC, which is the Olympic Training Center, and he drifted off and he went down and started working around with the gymnast. And next thing you know, I'm looking on the floor and he's doing floor exercise with the gymnast, flipping just as good as anybody else on the team. So this is a guy that can do multiple things and doing well if he dedicate himself to that. So if Adrien do the things that Adrien is capable of doing and fight the fight that he really needs to fight, I got him doing very, very well. And if he fight like I know he's capable of fighting, especially on the inside, he can stop this man. He's younger, he's bigger, and he's faster.
Well, Mr. Hunter, it's Nestor. I just wanted to go back to Rashuee. Obviously, as a fighter, especially him in his predicament, I mean, he's already had 2 world title shots. He's been a champion, and then he had the rematch. Here we are, his 3rd world title shot. But he's in a tough predicament because if he wins this fight, he has Inoue as the WBC interim world bantamweight champion. So he's going to have to face this guy before possibly a Nonito Donaire could be enticed into a big unification, because Donaire right now seems to be tied up with the World Boxing Super Series. How familiar are you with Rashuee's new division, and what do you foresee happening in 2019? Granted, you guys are successful with the win, with Abu Ali, the way that Warren believes.
Well, hey, Nestor. First of all, going back to Rashuee's history once again, Rashuee has literally fought guys from all over the world and beat the majority of guys that he's fought from all over the world. In fact, if I'm going back to the amateurs, and if I can remember correctly, I've only seen him get 2, in the amateurs rather, 2 nods against him, and both of the nods that he got against him were bad nods. He got robbed twice. But as far as, Eastern European style as far as fighting the Cuban. He fought Rigondeaux. He lost Rigondeaux by a couple of points in the amateurs. So he knows these guys. He knows their style. So I don't see him doing bad at all. As far as Nonito Donaire is concerned, I knew him and I knew his brother Glenn Donaire. They were on in the trials with Clarence Vincent, also one of the guys that we used to work with here. I think it'd be a good matchup. I look forward to a matchup with Nonito Donaire. Of course, Nonito, was an explosive fighter, during his run. I think he's still a very good fighter, but he's definitely not that same Nonito Donaire that he used to be when he was putting everybody out.
Hey, this is Ron Goodall again. I
was asking more about Inoue, who would be his mandatory because he's the WBC intern.
But he's in the tournament too.
No, there's two different ones.
Okay. I'm sorry.
There's his brother.
Yeah, exactly. One has the
there's
Takuma.
There's the one that
Takuma.
everybody thinks is the world beater, and there's the other one that's
There's Takuma and the Monster. Inoue.
That's a good way to say it.
The Monster is the WBA world bantamweight champion, and Takuma is Rashuee, would be Rashee's Warren mandatory because he's the silver champ.
The interim.
Well, I don't know. For the most part, Nestor, I don't do a whole lot of watching a lot of boxing until it come down fight time, and I do my little studying of the tape. But for the most part, I welcome a fight with any of them guys, to be honest with you. I've seen some of the ones, I've seen the guys that you've named. I haven't watched them in detail, but Rashuee been around the world. He's been fighting ever since he's been a baby. So I'm not going to discriminate with whomever it is. If he wins out, they win out, I look forward to having all them guys fight each other.
Hey, this is Ron Goodall again. I have a lot of respect for you. Train a lot of amateurs, professionals as well. You had an amateur squad, Headbangers boxing team, and I think you were named like Trainer of the Year by the WBO. So a lot of respect for you. My, question is coming from like a understanding of a trainer and being so experienced in boxing. Errol Spence, you trained someone to compete against them, and I think you also trained a little bit. Errol Spence had him as a sparring partner when he was younger. Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence, like, what is your whole prediction on that? Do you think people shouldn't be underestimating Mikey, or do you think this is just a bad decision? Errol's just going to win this very easy.
If I looking from afar, I like, of course, I love Earl, and I got a lot of love and respect for Mikey also. I like the way the man handles his business in the ring. I think that a lot of times in Mikey's case, he don't get a lot of credit for his boxing IQ. I think he had a real nice boxing IQ. In fact, I remember back when we was out with Top Rank, and I remember he first started out, and the way they raised him. And, you talking about Brad Goodman and Bruce Trampett, two of the best. I think they are the best, actually, matchmakers in all the boxing, was bringing him along. And to watch him develop over the years and what he has developed into, I think, he did a very, very fantastic job, thus far. If it were me, would I have jumped up or had him jump up to the different weight classes? I wouldn't have done it. But I know what they're looking at, and they see something in Earl that they think they can exploit. Whether or not it's going to happen or not, that's another ball game. I definitely wouldn't underestimate Mikey Garcia. I mean, he got a great trainer in his brother. And I know when they go out there, they're going to be very, very well prepared. But you cannot make the mistake and stand there toe-to-toe and call yourself trading with this man. You know what I mean? If he does that, I think it may be a short night. Advantage Earl.
You had a fighter that fought Errol Spence, Lamont Peterson. He's due to be back in the ring against Sergey Lipinets in March. When can we expect you guys to turn training up? Because the way it looks like Lamont never gets out of the gym.
No, in fact, it's funny because this is the first time after that fight that he has ever really been out of the gym. Normally, he's running, jumping, he run with the the Nike crew. There's a big Nike store down here in DC in Georgetown, and they got a group of runners that represent Nike, and Lamont runs with them. So, you know, he likes marathon running, that type of thing. But this is the first time that he, you know, pretty much fell back, took a break, you know, and enjoyed himself and what he has accomplished in his family. He got a new baby daughter. And so I didn't bother him. We didn't talk boxing. Every once in a while, you know, he'd come past the gym, help out with the kids, something like that there. And that was it. So we sat down and we talked about it. And I wanted to make sure that he still had that boxing spirit in him and not just being a family man. And, you know, lo and behold, you know, he came back, he started working. And then when the fight was on the horizon, it wasn't really set yet. But when it was talked about, came in, he started working, you know, slowly but surely, you know, I seen that old fire. So I'm very happy at this point in time with what I see, you know, in him. But yes, he did take a break for about a year.
Barry, we're going to go to some questions from the people. It's only 4 from our loyal listeners. We got the first one coming from John Justice, and he says, Barry Hunter, you are one of the most respected trainers in boxing. You clearly care deeply about your fighters. How difficult was it to stop the Spence fight against Lamont last year? What did you say to him afterwards?
First of all, hi, John, and thanks for the question. It was very difficult, you know, going back, you know, as far as we've been back, you know, I had them since they were babies. These are my sons. And no father or no parent would want to see their kids go through anything like that. And, you know, and I know that, you know, and it's no guarantee, you know, how we walk in these gyms or how we walk in the ring fight night, that we're going to walk out the same way, or walk out at all. And so you have to separate, you know, that emotional side. You have to separate from being a parent from being, you know, a professional in that corner. You know, you got to block all that out and do what's best for your athlete and have that type of knowledge of your athlete to know when enough is enough. And knowing Lamont like I know Lamont, I think it was somewhere late in the, I think 7th round, 6th round. I noticed that he wasn't moving. Well, let's go back. Say about 3rd or 4th round. And I know he wasn't moving a lot. And that wasn't part of the plan. And when I asked him what was wrong, I knew something was wrong. He said, I can't move my legs. My legs feel heavy. And so I said, well, don't bounce around. Just step around him. And then when he came back, the last time I looked him in his eye, and I didn't see enough of that. Normally, if we get behind, we're able to fight back. But I didn't see that. And so I asked him, and he said to me, I think he said something to the effect that, you do what you have to do. You know what I'm about to do. And I know what that meant. So Lamont is that rare athlete that will give his life up literally in the ring. And when I saw that, I gave him enough to let him walk to center ring, and I stopped it. Right? It was very, very difficult, but I had to do what I had to do.
Next one comes from Mad Bent. I admire your demeanor as a trainer. What are your expectations for your fighters in and out of the ring? Is there mental training involved?
Hi, Matt. Yes, there is mental training involved because you have to. A lot of fighters and a lot of trainers, you know, or boxing, make the mistake and just worry about just the physical, man, not the mental. When it's the mental that controls the physical. If your mind, I don't care how physically gifted or strong you are, if your mind isn't connected, if it's not right, then and you see it all the time. You see athletes all the time. When you look at them physically, they look chiseled, they look ready. I mean, and you know that they're capable of doing all kinds of amazing things. But if their confidence isn't there, if the mind isn't there, you know, going into whatever competition it is they go into, it's not going to work. So, yes, you have to be prepared more mentally, I believe, than physical. What was the second half of that question?
He was just,
it was a two-parter, I believe.
Oh, he said, what are your expectations for your fighters in and out the ring?
Okay. inside the ring, you know, only thing I can ask the fighter to do, because I'm gonna do my part. I'm gonna make sure they're very, very well prepared, both physically and mentally. And so the only thing I can ask of them at that point inside that ring is to give me every single thing you got. Just lay it all on the line. I don't want to bring no, I don't want no excuses. Well, I should have ran more. I should have did this more. No, we're going to cover all that. So when them lights cut on, it's time to perform. Just give me everything you got. And if you fall a little short, I'm okay with that. But if you go out there knowing that you left something behind, that I'm going to have a problem with, big time. Outside the ring, just be, you know, the best citizen you can possibly be. Be productive out there. Because it's not just about boxing. A lot of my kids go to college. I have some that have graduated from college. I have some with law degrees. I have one that became a doctor. I have a few police officers. My son, which fights, he's in the fighter academy. So we try to prepare life after boxing also.
And the last one is from Elms in the UK. He says, it has been rumored that Khan versus Crawford is in the works. Having come across Khan with Lamont, does Khan present a legitimate threat to the 147-pound division?
If Amir has any of that old Amir Khan stuff left in him, think about Khan is he's a warrior. When we fought him, now, of course, it's been several years now, but when we fought him, I underestimated speed. But the good thing is we went in there with more than one plan, so we was able to adjust and adapt to what it was he was doing. But if he has any of that spark left with that type of speed, he's a very good athlete also. He's not weak. He can punch a little bit. If he can bring any of that to the table and don't make a mistake like this when he fought Danny Garcia or I forgot whoever else, Brady's Prescott, I believe it was, and leave himself open like that, then he has a chance. Flip side of that, to me, pound for pound, if not the best, he's one of the best in boxing, which is Terrence Crawford. Very versatile. He's a gladiator, and he can punch. And he makes adjustments very, very well. If you watch his last fight, you know, kid had his timing down early on in the fight. He made an adjustment, came on down the end, ended up stopping him. Only thing that I would like to have seen is the young man that he fought. I knew he had a problem with his leg. I think he had been shot or something like that there. So watching the fight, his mobility to me was in question. But nevertheless, Terrence Crawford, you know, he made the adjustment and he got him a bye there. I think Terrence Crawford is one of the most dangerous fighters in the business right now today.
Oh, I didn't know he got shot. I thought he just had like a prosthetic leg. But what? So what you saying? You picking Earl to lose to Crawford?
You said Earl Spence? Oh, I thought you said Amir Khan.
No, I did. But since you're talking so highly of this pound for pound Crawford, I'm assuming that you're picking him over Earl too, because they're in the same division. Eventually, they're gonna meet.
That ain't what listen, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go with EJ against anybody. You know what I mean? And that's just me. Because, you know, even in the amateur, again, because of the knowledge I have of him, because of the knowledge I have of Earl, I'm gonna go with Earl against anybody. And I say that because I remember we went to, I think one of the trips we were on, I think it was France. Lomachenko was in the tournament also. And Earl had sparred I think it was a light heavyweight, if I'm not mistaken. And when the guy entered the ring, and I stopped it originally because this dude too big, and he was big. And Earl told me, he said, "No, Coach B," he said, "I got him." I said, "You sure, son?" I said, "It's a big dude." He said, "I got him." And sure enough, he did get him. He stopped him to the body. Then we went on in the tournament, and he was winning the tournament. He won the tournament, but he got a little hard-headed, got a little cute down the stretch, and the guy buzzed him up also. And nevertheless, he's always been able. I've never lost a fight with him, you know, both domestic and international. So he's always had that knack where though he can make the adjustment, and find a way to pull the fight out. That fight with Terrence Crawford, I'm telling you, Terrence Crawford is a very, very smart fighter. Again, I'm gonna go with Earl, you know, because of our history and what I think he's capable of doing. But you cannot go to sleep on Terrence Crawford, man. He's again a threat to anybody at that division.
Barry, so the next ones aren't questions, just statements. From Jay Hardcore Boxing News in DC, he says, just want to thank you for being such a stand-up trainer. My cousin Walt, I think it's Manigan, talks about you all the time.
Manigan.
And says you taught him everything he knows.
I know him well. Walter Manigan. If you remember the documentary that just came out, They Fight, that's Walter Manigan. Walt was the first trainer that I had the pleasure of teaching, you know, as a student years ago. He produced some excellent kids, you know, national champions, you know, in the area, and love Walt, you know, and I wish him all the best.
All right. The next one comes from Info Joe in California. He says, just want to say thank you for all the years you have worked with the youth in DC, mentoring the kids, keeping kids on the right path and out of jail. Salute to you, Mr. Hunter. We need more men like you. And the last one comes from Texas, from JD, who says, would you be open to a movie or documentary about the story of the Petersons and yourself?
First of all, thanks for all the kind words. I really appreciate it. You know, we never know. I mean, years ago when I walked in that gym, when I walked in that gym, I didn't mean to stay. I got to be honest with you. It was a pit stop, and there are things that I could do, you know, in my life, athletically, you know, all professionally, all kinds of stuff, and I never would finish. I don't care how good I was, and I go in there, do it, and then I leave. This is the first thing that I actually stuck with, in my life, and didn't mean to do so. But I said that to say, you know, you never know, you know, what your calling is. You never know, you know, where God really wants you to go, or what He wants you to do. But when it happens to you, it just feels right. You know, and when you turn around and, you know, you look back, there's so many years have passed now, and you look back and you look on some of these people, you know, you got kids that you raised and, you know, playing in movies, they, you know, doing all kinds of amazing things. You know, if I had to do it again, would I do it? Yes, I would, but I would do it so different, man, because along the way, you know, my family took a beating. You know, I missed birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, you know, everything. I damn near miss watching my kids grow up, trying to save somebody else. And if you save the world and you lose your own, then you really done nothing, man. To me, it's still a failure. So if I had something to do, if I had to change something, it would be, you know, I would go in this time. It wouldn't be all about boxing. It would be a balance there, you know, and that's how I would approach that. To that last piece, can you give me that again?
Would you be open, and have they ever approached you to do a documentary on yourself and the Petersons?
There have been several people that had expressed interest in actually doing a documentary or a movie, because the story, you know, with the Petersons in itself is just, it's crazy and it's amazing. I mean, it will take you on a journey, and but beyond them, you know, it's so many stories in that gym. I mean, they're just two of many. And the stories are still going. You know, as of last year, we just had 5 fighters. All of them, which except for maybe 1 or 2 were national champions, were killed. 2 brothers were killed 3 weeks apart. And these are kids that, you know, would have or could have set the world on fire. I see, you know, in them talent that I saw and like you spoke about Earl, you spoke about Turner, you spoke about Lamar, Adrian, the rest of them, just as good. And some of them were in the gym at the same time. So these stories continue to come. Yes, I definitely would be, because I think it's something that the people need to know about. And it's something in these stories for a little bit of everybody.
What is up, TBV family? Yes, YouTube has been cutting funding to their channels as of late, and with net neutrality going through its process, the internet is changing. If you want to keep your favorite channel intact, coming up with tons of content, and plus get hours and hours of extra content, head over to patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice to become a member of the TBV family and help support the channel. Peace.